next episode, Flood, Sweat, and Tears. And it's a classic, we're best buds, but you know, when you spend too much time with a friend, things can get a little sour. But it's done in this world. They do a pretty good job at telling this like classic trope of a storyline. And we get to learn a couple of little things about Anne here and there. So we open up and Sprig and Anne are outside. And it looks like they're doing some kind of gardening thing. Sprig is climbing into a hole. And I guess they're doing pest control. And Anne has her tennis racket. And he scares out one of the bugs. The bug jumps out. She hits it. And she's like, oh, yeah. And Sprig's like, oh, you're really good with that. And he's like, oh, I was on varsity. So she's in high school because the varsity teams are a high school thing. And I guess she was on the tennis club or tennis team. So we get to learn that little backstory. So she is a little bit athletic. So we get a nice little backstory there that isn't, beaten over your head. But we also learn a little bit about the character. That little guy who first found her in the first episode, the guy with the little squeeze box thing. It's not an accordion because it's not big, but whatever that little version of that is. And he shows up like, oh, you guys are best friends. That's super weird. And like, he's like talking crap to them, but they're like, oh yeah, we're besties. We're like, they do a stupid name where it's like Sprig and Anne together and like, oh, forever against the world. They found out that Anne's room, where she lives downstairs in the basement, is flooded. So she can't stay down there. So they're like, well, you can sleep on the couch. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's better than sleeping down here with all this water. Then Sprig's like, yeah, right, she'll sleep in my room because we're best buddies. And the grandpa warns them, hey, everything's fine and dandy until, like, you live with your friend. And then I guess he must have had a past experience with a roommate because he starts, like, reminiscing and starts getting really pissed off. Another funny gag. But he's like, I'm warning you guys, you can do it, but, if things go sour, I told you so. We can see Sprig's room and, of course, like a young boy, he has little action figures and keeps calling them dolls. And then you could tell it's kind of irritating. And was like, well, they're action figures. But, she's always poking fun at him. And this is I like Anne's personality, but I can tell she gets a little too hyped up. A little too much energy. So it's like, oh, let's have a pillow fight. So they're having like a little pillow fight. They're hitting each other. They go to bed and Anne's one of those, she can't stop talking. Oh, Sprig, would you rather do this or have this? Like, that game. Would you rather smell like a skunk or, you'll have your body covered in hair? Like all those like silly little would you rathers. And she keeps going on and on. Sprig falls asleep and then she wakes him up. Oh, yeah. And then she keeps talking. We all know people like that. Some of us may be that person where you're just constantly, she's in a sleepover mode. Oh, we're going to be playing around talking all the time. Oh, there's time to sleep too, Anne. And a funny little... They don't go into detail about why this is, but frogs are amphibians and they're cold-blooded, so they have to stay warm. So his room's super hot, and Anne's like, oh man, she opens the window to because she's like sweating. But of course, that's way too cold for Sprig. So he closes the window, she keeps opening it, and they have a horrible night because she's too hot, he's too cold. Like you can even see they wake them up and Sprig's like, I froze. Like they completely, because frogs do that. They can like completely like freeze almost. And he's like all blue and he gets a break out of his ice. And then Anne's like, what are you talking about? It's freaking blazing hot in here. And there you go. They're good friends, but they're not going to be good roommates. But of course they can't let Hot Pop be right. So like, oh no, we're best buds. Everything's great. And like they're just pretending it. Everything's awesome. And then we get a montage of every night after that. So she's like reading her books and eating snacks and it's keeping Sprig up. Sprig's yawning and his tongue's like flying all over the place and like it's hitting Anne all the way in her bed. They fight over the window. Sprig leaves his towels everywhere. So like all the classic, roommate type stuff. Sprig's like cleaning his toes, like all this nasty stuff between his like, of course he's a frog, he's a creature, so there's all this kind of nasty little things. His room's always a mess. Anne slips on a toy, and they kind of get to the point to where they're like on each other's nerves like 100%. And even this is so funny because he's like wearing her clothes, like he's wearing like her diva sleep shirt. She's like, are you wearing my stuff? And he never answers her, but I just thought that was hilarious that he's gonna be wearing her clothes knowing that it's not his, but he like wanted to try it on. Sprig is like, hey grandpa, let me help you fix the leak because I'm a good swimmer. And he's like, no, there could be creatures down here, I don't want you to get hurt. Anne says the same thing, hey, when's my room gonna get fixed? And then he's like looking at her. Oh, what? I can't just see when my room's gonna get fixed. Jeez, we gotta accuse me of everything. He didn't even say anything, but he could tell. Yeah, these two they're done being roommates. We get the next night, and Anne's like, hey, hope everything's gonna be fine. Like they're trying to be nice to each other, but you can tell they're really not nice to each other. He leaves his towels everywhere. Then he's like, oh, it's my room. I can leave my towels wherever I want. And then like, what, did you say something? Oh, nothing. Like they're just being passive aggressive. And so Anne starts going through her phone and she sees like all the pictures of them together. And then she's like, oh, let's have fun. And she tries to start another pillow fight. You weren't going to, this is where another flaw in Anne is, she only kind of knows one way to fix things. Oh, if we're all having fun, then it can be like old times. Having that fun wasn't going to fix this situation, but it's the only way she knows how to try to fix it. So she starts another pillow fight, and Sprig is not in the mood for a pillow fight. She breaks one of his action figures, and you can tell he's like irritated beyond all belief because she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I have to go to the bathroom. And he just kind of slinks out of the room. And then she's like, oh, dang, I really jacked up this one. And then she's like, why is it so hot in here? Sprig goes down there and he's trying to fix this leak. He's like, I got to fix this thing, get this girl out of my room. I can't stand it anymore. So when he was looking to fix it, she jumped down there too because she wanted to fix it. And she's like, oh, if you wanted me out of the room, why don't you just say so? And they kind of go back and forth, but they both were getting on each other's nerves. But of course, Anne's trying to just pin it all on him. Like, oh, if you just wanted me gone, you should have just said so and I would have left. But at the same time, if you would have just let him know, hey, this isn't working out, I'll just sleep in the living room. Because it was always there. Like, another room was available, but they wanted to prove that they're best friends. This slug monster thingy is down there, is attacking them. And they kind of do the thing they did in the first part of the episode, where Sprig's going to knock him up in the air and then she's going to hit him. And, it basically kind of works. They do like this, because there's two of them down there. They do like this weird, like, corkscrew super attack thing. They look pretty cool. But Anne hits him, knocks against the wall, knocks him out, and they end up digging a hole in the ground, and that drains the basement. Hop Hop and Polly show up, and they're like, oh, wow, you drained the basement. Like, yeah. But they end up really talking to each other, like, I can't stand how hot it is in there. You leave your stuff everywhere. And Sprig's like, yeah, you leave the lamps on all at night. You eat lots of food. You never stop talking. But they actually, had a conversation about what wasn't working. And then Hop Hop is kind of like the sage. He's going to give the elderly advice. He's like, see, I think you're actually better friends now because you understand what you like and what you don't like about each other. And you can still care about each other at the end of the day, which is a good lesson. I like both these episodes. They both gave good lessons. And so Anne's like, oh, I'm going to just sleep on the couch. I can open the window. It can be nice and cold for me. And you can be in your room and we won't be bothering each other. He gives her some snacks and everything. She knows she likes to snack and read her books. And she's laying there. She's reading the book, but then she's kind of lonely because she likes to talk. She likes to have these conversations, but there's no one there. She's kind of sad. And I think just the absolute sweetest thing ever, Sprig throws down a little can with the string so they can still talk to each other. Sprig is just like the cutest, sweetest little guy in the world. I absolutely love this character. So like in the Nan's like, oh yeah, would you rather? And they start playing the Would You Rather game again. Unbelievably, a lot of heart. That's what I think keeps shows like this running is the comedy seems to be first and foremost is like the best part. But there's moments like this where when Sprig gave her all those little dolls, like, oh, so you don't be lonely when you go to bed. And then when he made this little can, it's just like the most, oh, I can't believe such a sweet little guy. And he came up with that on his own. And he knew that he knows his friend. So I really, really like that. And that ends episode 4. Inconsequential episodes, we learn a couple of things here and there. Lots of funny jokes. Nothing more towards what happened with her friend who was in the dungeon, which I kind of really want to know about. But overall, we're 4 episodes in and still a pretty good show. Again, lots of laughs. There's tons of gags, background stuff. Anne's a fun character. I'm glad she learned some lessons and she took responsibility for her actions. I was kind of worried that she was always going to, quote unquote, get away with everything. But she grew a little bit. She's learning. I wish she'd get all that crap out of her hair, but I guess that's part of her character. But I'll be reviewing I have the next episodes ready to go. I'll probably do those the next couple of days. But I'm liking the show. It's fun animation, fun characters, great jokes. Stay tuned for the next reviews. Crimson Saint here. Thanks for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single upload. If you have any tips or story ideas, hit us up on Twitter at C15Podcast, or better yet, join our Discord server, link in the description below.